Connie Stevens' reality is more sinister than anyone had anticipated. Now that she's 86 years old, she's coming clean. Her near-death experience with addiction, the brutal marriage she concealed, and the murder she saw as a young girl. The unanticipated hero who came to her rescue after all others had given up, the millions they took, and the formidable foes who sought to bury her are even more surprising. Brooklyn, New York is the site of Conchetta Rosalie and Ingolia's birth on August 8, 1938, the birthplace of Connie Stevens. As a jazz musician, her dad was known as Teddy Stevens. Her mom had a singing career. Even if her family's life was tough, music was always there in her upbringing. She moved in with her grandparents after her parents' divorce. She was sent to a Catholic boarding school when she was 8 years old. For the next few years, that was her whole universe. She became a strong-willed, self-reliant person as a result of the regimentation and isolation. However, her 12-year-old self was unprepared for what occurred. In the midst of her life-altering experience, she happened across a brutal murder while walking the streets of Brooklyn one day. A hasty choice was taken by her family out of fear for her safety. Away from the mayhem, she was taken to stay with friends in Boonville, Missouri. Living in a small town brought her a sense of calm and security, but the trauma of what she had witnessed remained with her. Music was always there for her. For her, it was both a refuge and a calling. She quickly became known for her exceptional singing voice and began performing anywhere she could. She found her path forward via that desire. Migrating to Los Angeles with her father, she was 15 years old. It was a chance to start again, a location where everything was possible. She became known as Connie Stevens, his stage name, when she was in Los Angeles. Work was sparse in the beginning. Just to get her foot in the door, she took on little parts in movies. Concurrently, she pursued her aspirations of becoming a musician. She sang with 3 young men in a group known as the Foremost. The guys in the group went on to fame as the Lettermen, but the group itself didn't endure long. Then Connie continued. At the tender age of 16, she replaced the alto vocalist in another band, the Three Debs. The experience and self-assurance she gained from performing with an all-female group was invaluable. She was more than just a vocalist, though. She aspired to star in motion pictures. And she would not rest till she reached her destination. Both Young and Dangerous and 18 and Anxious were released in 1957, marking Connie Stevens' entry into the Hollywood film industry. These were only supporting parts. Nonetheless, such roles established her as a promising young actor. The low-budget adolescent film Young and Dangerous follows a group of troubled teens who were enthralled by the excitement of racing vehicles. Stevens had a supporting part as Candy, while Mark Damon was the main actor. Even though it wasn't a breakout role, she got her acting chops while adolescent revolt flicks were all the rage. Anxious, a drama that dealt with the issues of teen pregnancy, and 18 were both released that year and featured her. Her early career took another stride forward with this picture, even though her participation in it wasn't widely reported. Stevens inked a 7-year deal with Paramount Pictures that December, with weekly compensation beginning at $600 and rising to $1,500 with projected increments. In the eyes of a novice, it was a major event, providing a steady income and opportunities for advancement. Nevertheless, she was left to seek prospects elsewhere once Paramount rejected her. Rather from limiting her progress, it propelled her towards the turning point that would shape her professional trajectory. Stevens scored a big part in Jerry Lewis's 1958 musical comedy Rockabye Baby. She got to showcase her acting chops and charisma in the film, which was a loose replica of Morgan's Creek, The Miracle. Jerry Lewis cast her in his film after seeing her in another adolescent flick that year, Drag Strip Riot. For Stevens, this decision was the turning point. Rockabye Baby was a game-changer for her career in music as well as acting. Songs like Looking for a Boy and Blame It on My Youth were part of her debut album, Conchetta, which came out the same year. Though it failed to top the charts, it did establish her as more than simply an actor. Stevens proved she could hold her own in the film and music industries, which was a huge plus for Hollywood, which adored performers with many talents. Her meteoric climb to stardom also included her appearances on television. She swiftly became a household name because to her cameo spots on popular TV programs like Maverick and 77 Sunset Strip. After seeing her potential, Warner Brothers put her in a slew of programs, keeping her occupied. She became famous after playing the part of Cricket Blake on 77 Sunset Strip, which transferred to her breakout series, Hawaiian Eye. The recording of the novelty tune Kooky stands out among her most notable achievements at this time. Along with fellow Warner Brothers contract player Ed Burns, performed Lend Me Your Comb. When it peaked at number 4 on March 1959's Billboard Hot 100, the song was a complete surprise. One of her notable guest appearances was on Maverick. She appeared alongside James Garner and a youthful Adam West in the episode 2 Tickets to 10 Strike. Not only did she gain significant experience from these TV appearances, but she also helped cultivate a devoted fan following. The Warner Brothers plan to keep its stars visible across all platforms was a huge boon to Stevens. As the 1950s came to a close, she had made the leap from supporting to main roles in blockbuster films. She had a promising Hollywood career as an actress and singer. She was able to shape her career with each role, song, and appearance. However, this was only the initial stage. The detective series Hawaiian Eye, in which Connie Stevens starred from 1959 to 1963 as Cricket Blake, catapulted her to fame. The show's glitzy island location in Honolulu allowed viewers to accompany private investigators as they solved crimes. Nightclub singer and sometimes photographer Cricket, played by Stevens, was a key witness in several of the investigators' breakthroughs. She played a significant role. She injected the show with personality, comedy, and song as a strong, self-reliant young lady. Her performance was more than just enjoyable. Cricket spoke to young ladies because she represented a modern, free-spirited individual who wasn't ready to settle down just yet but was sure of herself. The music in Hawaiian Eye was one of the factors that set it apart. It was unique among detective series of the era in that it gave Stevens a chance to perform her singing in the context of the show. This was more than a trick. The program and Stevens' careers were both boosted by the astute decision. Hawaiian Eye's producer, Warner Brothers, saw her potential. Advertised her as a celebrity with several talents. Kooky, Lend Me Your Comb, a popular novelty tune, was co-written by her and Ed Burns of 77 Sunset Strip around the same period. The song helped establish her reputation as a lively, fashionable young artist and became a cultural phenomenon because to its catchy, lyrically amusing chorus. She had her greatest hit in 1960, for 16 different reasons. Not only did this song go well in the US, but it also went to number 3 on Billboard's Hot 100. It was tailor-made for the early 60s pop culture, what with the infectious tune and Stevens' young, effervescent delivery. She struck a chord with teenagers, particularly young women. She embodied all the qualities that the younger generation cherished: style, independence, and boundless vitality. The 16 Reasons hit wasn't an accident. The creators of Hawaiian Eye and her record company collaborated to promote her songs on the program, which helped establish her acting and singing careers. Her reputation is further solidified by albums such as Cricket and Conchetta, which feature covers of her TV performances. Keeping Connie Stevens in the public eye was no easy task once Hawaiian Eye stopped in 1963. She became famous playing Cricket Blake, but she struggled to land her next major part. Parrish and Susan Slade, both starring Troy Donahue, were among her 1961 film credits. She didn't become a Hollywood star because to these love dramas, but they did have their moments. She also began to see a decline in her music career, which had previously produced hits like 16 Reasons, due to the dominance of other musicians and styles. When she encountered problems with her contract with Warner Brothers, things became much more difficult. The studio was unwilling to grant her the creative freedom and larger parts she desired. In 1962, she caused a stir by suggesting that she may want to try out for the My Fair Lady auditions. That was shut down by Warner Brothers, prompting an extremely public split. After a while, the studio stopped casting her, and she stopped getting parts. She found it difficult to secure regular work in Hollywood without their support. Stevens, who was hell-bent on staying in the business, started performing live. She began her career as a nightclub singer in the 60s and continued into the 70s, playing in big places like Las Vegas. She stayed in touch with her fans through her performances, which featured both popular classics and her own songs. Her 1967 Broadway performance in The Star-Spangled Girl was so successful that it garnered her a Theatre World Award. Although she was no longer getting prominent roles in Hollywood, her career was kept alive by her transition to live entertainment. There were challenges in her personal life as well. Jolie Fisher was parenting Trisha Lee Fisher and Jolie Fisher alone after her divorce from musician Eddie Fisher. Problems arose in the financial realm. She kept acting in films and TV shows here and there, such as Grease 2, 1982, and Back to the Beach, 1987, but nothing that she did could match her earlier popularity. Connie Stevens' romantic life, meanwhile, was complicated beyond belief. At first glance, her 1963 marriage to actor James Stacey appeared to be going swimmingly, but there was a lot of drama going on behind the scenes. Relationship tensions quickly rose due to Stacey's very aggressive attitude. Information about the abuse that plagued their marriage became public knowledge after the fact, even if it was scant at the time. It ended in 1966. Stacey had a promising early career, but he never got a stable job in movies. After some time, he broke through on television with his 1968 breakthrough role in Lancer. He was already divorced from Stevens by that point. In 1973, he lost both his left arm and leg in a terrible motorcycle accident, which was a turning point in his life. His fiancée at the time passed away. Regardless, he made a remarkable recovery and received Emmy nominations for his roles. Yet he never really got over his own problems. He has a daughter, Heather Elias, from a brief marriage to actress Kim Darby. In contrast, Stevens advanced. A year following her divorce, she wed singer Eddie Fisher, continuing her career as an actress and singer. For all the wrong reasons, their romance was in the news. When Fisher began an affair with Stevens, he was still legally married to Elizabeth Taylor. Stevens was already carrying their first child, Jolie Fisher, when his divorce was completed. In and of itself, the marriage was not stable. Their respective afflictions, including addiction, only served to deepen their struggles. Tricia Lee Fisher was born to them in 1968, but by 1969, their marriage had already crumbled. Divorce was finalized in 1969, dumping Stevens to bring up their girls solo. By this stage, Fisher's career had already begun to deteriorate. He went from being a great performer to being known more for his series of unsuccessful marriages. There had been a lot of emotional and professional upheaval in his life before his time with Stevens. However, following her divorce, Stevens focused solely on her children. Being a single mother in Hollywood while raising Jolie and Tricia Lee Fisher was no picnic. It was difficult to juggle a work and parental responsibilities while money was scarce. Still, she insisted on providing a secure environment for her girls. She opted not to remarry, in contrast to her own history of troubled relationships. She ignored him in favor of advancing her profession and providing a safer future for her loved ones. Despite the ups and downs of her entertainment business career, she never gave up. In order to establish herself financially in the 1990s, she transformed into a successful entrepreneur and launched a popular cosmetics line. This marked a watershed moment. She felt a sense of empowerment after years of being unsure of what to do with her life. She was an inspiration to her two daughters, and they both became actresses. The role of Paige Clark on Ellen and Joy Stark Until Death brought Jolie Fisher fame on television. Before making her big screen debut in Stick, Tricia Lee Fisher got her start acting in her mother's Las Vegas performances. Pretty Smart, Hollywood Chaos, and CHUD 2 Bud, the CHUD were among her subsequent appearances. Even after that, she did music. 1990 saw the release of an album. Both Tricia and Jolie have made no secret of the impact their mother had on their careers. A roadmap loaded with lessons about perseverance, innovation, and refusing to let one's circumstances define them was provided by Stevens' personal tribulations in the profession. They stuck together as a family, sharing performances and providing emotional support through the roller coaster ride that is Hollywood. After her acting and singing careers began to decline, Connie Stevens forged ahead in another direction, continuing her successful entertainment career. She made a career and bank-altering move in 1989 when she debuted her skincare line, Forever Spring. Although its debut was a year earlier, the brand is more commonly thought of as having begun in the 1990s. This was more than an aside. It was her undivided attention to the success of the business. Stevens launched Forever Spring on HSN, a home shopping network, where she advertised her wares live. It was a calculated move. She leveraged her celebrity status to engage with consumers and earn their trust by making an appearance herself. With a $1 million investment, HSN proved its faith in the brand. However, there was a snag. Until the stock ran out, Stevens was on the hook for all of her bills. Taking a chance paid off. Face creams infused with collagen and ginseng were among the most popular items. They were well received by consumers, and the brand's success beyond all expectations. The timing of this business was ideal from a financial standpoint. As performing jobs dried up, Stevens needed a reliable source of money to keep her family afloat. Her daughter's education was a driving factor in her decision to start Forever Spring, which she has discussed in the past. What started off as a means to an end became more than that. It grew into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. In a subsequent case, Norton Stein, who had previously managed her, asserted his right to a portion of the earnings. Even though Stevens disputed it, the lawsuit did show how much money the brand was making. She also made astute financial decisions in the real estate market. She proved her commercial acumen went beyond cosmetics in 2016 when she sold her Holmby Hills property for $17 million. Her estimated $20 million net worth is the result of her long career in show business, and real estate. It wasn't only by selling things that Stevens achieved success on HSN. She was a master storyteller. Her talent for connecting with viewers was crucial to the success of her brand on infomercials. She did more than just outline the product's virtues, she used tales and demonstrations to sell it. A difference was created by this personal touch. Not only that, but skincare was a popular item. They believed her sincerity and reliability. That wasn't the end of her commercial endeavors. The Connie Stevens Garden Sanctuary Day Spa, located in Los Angeles, was her foray into the health sector in the 1990s. This further solidified her status as an entrepreneur specializing in health and cosmetics. She proved she could adapt and succeed outside of show business by going from Hollywood star to business magnate. Stevens was also active in philanthropy outside of his corporate career. In an effort to promote education and maintain Native American culture, she established the Wind Feather Project, which provides financial aid to deserving students. In addition to her work with cancer organizations, she was a member of the USO Tours, where she and Bob Hope entertained troops in the Persian Gulf and Southeast Asia. These endeavors enriched her legacy in yet another way. One founded not only on financial success, but on giving back. Connie Stevens had a busy string of appearances in films and TV shows in the 70s and 80s. Beginning with 1979's Love's Savage Fury, she went on to feature in 1980's Scruples and Murder Can Hurt You, among other television movies. In 1981, she was also a part of Sideshow and Aloha Paradise. Subsequently, that year saw Harry's Conflicts. Her 1982 appearance in Grease 2 was an addition to her already impressive record, even if the sequel fell short of the original's success. Television also served to keep her in the limelight. Popular series that included her cameos include Hotel, The Love Boat, and Fantasy Island. Her other television appearances include Murder, She Wrote, Detective in the House, and Tales from the Dark Side. She kept herself busy with these parts, which weren't really main ones. She continued to make strides until the mid to late 1980s. She appeared in the 1987 film Rowdies, the 1988 film Back to the Beach, the 1988 film Tapeheads, and the 1988 film Bring Me the Head of Dobie Gillis in a supporting role. She also appeared on several of Bob Hope's USO programs around this period, most notably his 1988 Christmas spectacular broadcast from the Persian Gulf. She may not have gotten the breakout role she had hoped for, but she was still an integral part of Hollywood. When Connie Stevens first got behind the camera, she tackled a huge obstacle. Saving Grace B. Jones was her directorial debut in 2009, the same year she wrote and produced it. She was 70 years old at the time. That was a daring step. Ascending to the esteemed position of oldest female director to make her feature picture debut. Carrie, a little girl whose traumatic experiences in Brooklyn lead her to be relocated to live with relatives in Missouri, is the protagonist of this true story. Grace, portrayed by Tatum O'Neal, is a lady who has just been released from a mental facility and is having a hard time adjusting to life outside of it. The Great Flood of 1951 serves as the backdrop for the film, which explores issues of mental illness, perseverance, and family. Opinions on the film were divided. Penelope Ann Miller, Michael Biehn, and Tatum O'Neal were singled out by critics for their stellar performances. Stevens' effort was acknowledged despite the complaints that others had about the direction's lack of restraint. As a result, O'Neal was named the festival's Best Actress. Stevens shown her dedication to storytelling by tackling a topic as intricate and emotionally taxing as this one for her debut film. The themes weren't only theatrical decisions, they were reflections of her life and professional experiences informed by what she had experienced. The acting was always there for Stevens, even after he moved into directing. Her perseverance and adaptability were on full display as she proceeded to take on film jobs. She had an appearance in Courtney Cox's 2014 comedy drama Just Before I Go. In the film, which delves into topics of familial bonds, camaraderie, and individual development, Stevens played the role of Nancy, a welcoming presence among an ensemble cast that encompassed Sean William Scott, Olivia Thirlby, and Garrett Dillahunt. Then, in 2016, she was in the film Search Engines, which dealt with issues of technology dependency and the dynamics of holiday families. For her, the chance to collaborate with her daughter Jolie Fisher on Search Engines was an extraordinary perk. The two brought their real-life bond into their portrayals as family members. Their connection was effortless. Their roles were praised by spectators for the honesty they exhibited. The partnership went beyond a purely business-like arrangement. They were able to spend quality time together doing something they enjoyed, making it a really intimate experience. Jolie had a successful career thanks to Stevens' unwavering backing. She appeared in films like Inspector Gadget and TV series like Ellen. There was more to their collaboration on Search Engines than meets the eye. It was a time to rejoice in their shared artistic and familial heritage. Famed for her skill, charisma, and perseverance, Connie Stevens had been in the public eye for decades. However, in 2016, she encountered an unprecedented obstacle in her life. A huge stroke she had while eating at a restaurant abruptly altered her life. She became completely immobile on her left side, rendering her unable to walk or do even the most basic of duties. Because the stroke was so severe, no time was to be wasted. She spent 16 days fighting off the paralysis that followed her emergency admission to the hospital. The stroke was more than simply a physical obstacle for Connie, who is known for her independence. At that precise moment, she was thrust into a new reality, one in which she had to exert herself for every step. And she found it quite difficult to do the things that she had previously done carefree. However, she was never one to give up. She was determined not to let the stroke define her, even if it was causing her frustration and confusion. Jolie and Tricia, her kids, were her rock. They supported her no matter what, and they boosted her spirits when the path to healing seemed insurmountable. Connie was determined to reclaim control of her body, even though she knew it wouldn't happen quickly. She was forced to retrain her muscles and relearn even the most fundamental actions as physical therapy became an integral part of her everyday existence. Following her stroke, she underwent speech and occupational therapy to regain the ability she had lost. Stevens has made her imprint in several ways. She will forever be remembered. In fact, in 3 distinct spheres of celebrity. A tribute to her effect, her stars glitter in Palm Springs, Hollywood, and even Toronto. Her impact, however, extends well beyond her status in show business. The Screen Actors Guild appointed her to a leadership position in 2005. She took over as secretary-treasurer after James Cromwell resigned. Despite the gravity of the position, the second highest elected office in the union, she wholeheartedly accepted it. After that, in 2013, her commitment was recognized in an entirely new manner. Regardless of where American troops were stationed, she has been a consistent presence with the USO for more than 40 years. Awarded the Founders Medal for Patriotism, she was acknowledged for her dedication by the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution. The accolade was bestowed by none other than the President General of the organization, Marian Wright. But in 1988, Stevens was rather forthright about her professional life. Despite her current situation, she remained determined to achieve her goals. She realized she had to get sexy before she could fulfill her goal of collaborating with Marlon Brando on a film. It seemed like Hollywood wasn't giving her the recognition she was due. She performed in Japan and Hong Kong annually during the holidays, solidifying her status as a global superstar. She hadn't been famous thanks to a smash successful TV series, movie, or song, but she had made something that would remain. Cricket, the fictional character she created, was still very much loved by fans. She considered herself to be an actress in and of herself. With a staff of 17, she oversaw her thriving brand. Hollywood still didn't appear to take her seriously, despite all that. She saw other actresses obtain production agreements after appearing on series like Falcon Crest or Dynasty, but she had a much harder time getting her foot in the door.